One such prison is located at a place named the Vertical Self-Management Center. Food is lowered on a platform and there is a hole in the middle of each of the 333 floors. Prior to the platform moving on to the next floor, prisoners have 2 minutes to consume as much food as they can. Perempuan and Zamiatin eventually reach level 24. Upon inspecting the pizza platform, the Zamiatin is shocked to discover that someone has stolen the toppings and taken bite-sized portions. The level 21 inmates ate food that wasn't theirs, according to arguments from above. Enraged, Zamiatin snatches some chicken and opens his mouth to bite it, only to be stopped by Robespierre and his level 23 cellmate. It turns out that a group of prisoners are abiding by a self-imposed rule that states that each individual can only eat the meal they selected during the interview or swap with others willingly in order to ensure that everyone is fed. Loyalists are those who adhere to that guideline, and barbarians are those who do not. Robespierre notes that if Zamiatin takes a bite out of something else in retaliation, it will cause a chain reaction that will deprive the lower levels of nourishment. Zamiatin shares her croquettes with Perempuan, who interrupts him before he can bite into them. The level 21 inmates become irate over the restrictions the following day, and Robespierre warns them that they might have to fight for food. The moment Perempuan sees a metal rod she can use as a weapon, she smashes her bed. There is already a dead man on the platform when it gets to her level. Afterwards, Robespierre and a man from the 21 fall on top of it, and a woman from above continues to kick off food that has fallen on her level because she doesn't want to be penalized for an error. Her body falls onto the platform as well, though, as her level is already heating up and she quickly catches fire. Using her bedsheets, Perempuan puts out the fire while Robespierre and the other guy continue to fight, but the woman has already passed away. The man from number 21 is knocked out as she swiftly falls to the ground when she tries to enter the fray. The platform begins to descend at that point, so Perempuan and Robespierre dash to the pit to dump all of the food that has fallen on their level. Thankfully, they discard all of the food before they freeze to death, even though the temperature drops rapidly. Robespierre breaks down in tears upon realizing the burned woman had passed away when the platform disappears. Robespierre lashes out at Zamiatin for trying to console him, snatching him by the neck. To stop them, Perempuan must holler at them. Robespierre declares he will descend the levels with the unconscious man from level 21 in order to find the anointed ones while the man is restrained. Since Zamiatin is unable to comprehend, Robespierre tells the tale. A man who went by the name the Master once lived. The fair distribution laws were devised by the Master, albeit it is unknown if he is still alive or even if he was ever really alive. The Master gave a message of hope, sharing how he used meditation to stay alive for a full month while suffering from low blood sugar. He chose cannibalism and fed the hungry with his own limb the next month after awakening at the bottom, where food never reached. Since then, the anointed ones, those who consumed the Master's flesh, have disseminated the Master's message of unity. Zamiatin shouts that he hasn't eaten in 2 days before the lights go off because he doesn't think the narrative is true. The burned woman's body is thrown into the pit by Robespierre, who disregards the jeers. The corpse begins to break as it descends and strikes the edges of the various levels. All of the fragments eventually settle to the bottom, where they are retrieved by cannibals for food. Zamiatin eventually gets to eat the pizza he had been craving when the platform delivers it the following day. After finishing his meal, Robespierre discards the food of the deceased in the bathroom. He clarifies that an arbitrary distribution of leftovers would only benefit a select few and fuel conflict and violence. Subsequently, Robespierre gives Zamiatin and Perempuan some plates to guard before he and the prisoner depart on the platform. As the days go by, Zamiatin and Perempuan begin to eat their own food. To stay out of trouble, they throw away the leftovers, but Zamiatin also eats a little when no one is looking. As they become closer every day, the couple begins to assist one another with personal tasks like eating and grooming. Perempuan uses razors to scribble doodles on the wall to pass the time. Perempuan asks Zamiatin to draw something on the wall on the last day of the month. He claims, though, that he is more of a science geek and has spent the majority of his life studying math. Zamiatin scribbles an equation on the wall, explaining that he had to give up because the answer is an arbitrary number. Zamiatin came to the conclusion that he could never trust math again if they accepted a solution that had no basis in physical reality. That was the day he quit his research project, his job at the university, and his family to return home to his parents. They learn later that evening that the food has reached level 175, which has never been achieved before. As the celebrations begin, Perempuan invites Zamyatin to dance with her. He hesitates before agreeing, and they enjoy themselves together. Zamyatin and Perempuan are appalled to wake up on level 180 the following day. The platform has almost no food when it arrives. Days go by as the two of them endure their hunger. Perempuan uses drawing on the walls to divert her attention, and Zamyatin's preferred object is a lighter which he keeps using to burn his clothes for amusement. Eventually, he starts getting burns on his skin as well, and Perempuan has to stop him. Suddenly, Zamyatin throws up a lot of blood, indicating that he is ill. At the same time, a head falls through the pit, and voices from above declare that some anointed ones are moving through the levels to kill barbarians. Days go by as Perempuan focuses on tending to Zamyatin while people beneath them begin to look scrawny. It appears like the anointed ones are still engaged in combat because more body parts are dropping into the pit. Alerts from above inform us that they are drawing near and that they have a list of barbarians to apprehend, which includes a fat man from 24 inches who consumed deceased people's meals. Perempuan claims they were previously on level 74 in order to protect her spouse. Zamyatin considers the interview that evening. Zamyatin attempted to claim that he entered the facility because he was feared by others, but the interviewer was aware of the reality. Zamyatin left school at the age of 16, his business ventures failed, his spouse and children kicked him out, and even his parents grew weary of him. In order to reprimand him, they sent him to the facility. Zamyatin uses his lighter to self-destruct after realizing he has nothing left to live for and that Perempuan shouldn't be punished for defending him. As she sees his body fall into the abyss, Perempuan sobs. The people on the lower floors try to capture him in the hopes of getting flesh, but they release him when they nearly get burned. The cannibals wait for the fire to die out before consuming the body after it lands at the bottom. Perempuan awakens on level 51 at the start of the new month to find Natalia there. Natalia has selected plums as her food and a pillow as her item. An arm is also gone from her. The plums are absent when the platform arrives, but Perempuan persuades Natalia to abide by the guidelines. Perempuan imagines Zamyatin in the room with her at night. After a while, a head falls into the pit, and the women discover that Dajan Bobby, an anointed one, is murdering barbarians everywhere. Natalia continues to leap onto the platform to join the fight, even though the rules state that only the convicts directly above a barbarian should descend to punish them. Perempuan chooses to accompany, eager to exact revenge on Zamyatin. An increasing number of inmates consent to support their cause as the platform declines. They eventually come upon Oscar, a barbarian, who launches an attack and stabs a person on the platform. A brutal altercation breaks out, leaving everyone injured and covered in bruises. Oscar appears to give up after exchanging several punches and kicks, only to leap onto the platform just as it is ready to depart. Oscar pulls Natalia down and prepares to knife her after an angry Natalia leaps up and begins beating him up. Perempuan stops on the following level at that point, landing on the platform. Oscar is being choked by another prisoner as Perempuan is saving Natalia. Sadly, the man also receives a stab wound, at which point Perempuan intervenes and begins abusing him once more. Oscar breaks out in tears and says he did nothing wrong. After more than a year in the facility, he needed to eat in order to recuperate like everyone else. All he wants is to live. When Natalia tries to stop him, Perempuan shows mercy and allows him to flee on the platform. Natalia says she had been in the facility for 6 months that evening. She was told the regulations by her cellmate when she got there, and even though she didn't think they were fair, she decided to abide by them. But later on, they discovered a young man who was dying, and they fed him food meant for dead prisoners to try to rescue him. Dajan Bobby arrived to punish them the next day. Taking Natalia by the arm, she strapped Natalia to the bottom of the platform, where the cannibals at the end of the pit devoured her, killing her cellmate. Natalia came to the realization that day that survival is a myth and that no one ever exits the facility. Since the inmates would be gassed and relocated at the end of the month, Natalia believes that the only way to survive is to escape. Administration will instead toss their bodies out of the facility if they can make it appear as though they have died. Although Natalia is unsure of the level, she thinks she can succeed by consuming the oil painting that a prisoner provided as their property. A man who is chained to the bottom of the platform is spotted by them a few days later. As a result, Natalia persuades Perempuan to descend in order to evade Dajan, Bobby, and his group, who are now getting closer. Sadly, the platform cuts out at that point, bringing Dajan, Bobby, and his supporters. When the platform moves on, Dajan has some of his people seize Natalia, Perempuan, and the others who went down with her to fight the other day. At first, he acts benevolent and lets them eat something. In a protracted lecture, Dajan argues that people should follow the law rather than try to understand it. He claims that being disloyal is only an excuse for making exceptions, and he even goes so far as to say that his lack of eyes proves his thesis. Natalia is then stripped by the group and tied to the bottom of the platform to be fed to the cannibals. The platform rips off Perempuan's arm when it descends since she is restrained with it extended over the pit. The children in the enigmatic chamber are still playing and seem to be growing in number. When Perempuan awakens on level 72 the next month, she encounters Trimagasi, her new cellmate, who is holding a knife. Since he is still alive, it is clear that this scenario takes place before the first film. Trimagasi breaks the rules by eating as the platform comes. Perempuan has given up on this harsh justice and is embracing it, extending an invitation to Trimagasi to join them. Perempuan persuades Oscar and other barbarians to accompany her as they descend. The podium gets really crowded quickly because so many people despise the loyalists. After a few levels, Perempuan declares their group to be large enough and exits the platform. It is then disclosed that the notorious painting is within that cell, and discovering it was Perempuan's goal all along. Enlisting other barbarians had just served as a means of obtaining safety. The following day, Dajan, Bobby makes sure that the platform is cleared of people before it gets to the Perempuan group's level. He says that if they surrender now, he will think about showing them mercy, but he will wait until they are weak to attack and murder them. A disagreement about the best course of action results in some barbarians retreating to the lower levels. Trimagasi abruptly ends the conversation by suggesting that they all go down and devour any loyalists they come across. As the group celebrates their passion for the idea, Perempuan recalls telling her experience in the interview. She was once a well-known artist, and the work Natalia had been searching for had always been her goal. Perempuan had killed her fiancé by accident, and he had a child from a previous marriage. Perempuan wakes up the following morning and finds meat in her mouth. She has been refusing to eat human flesh, but after being extremely thin, a woman fed her in an attempt to aid in her recovery. Seeing hallucinations of all her fallen friends, Perempuan has no choice but to start eating the meat the barbarians offer her. Later, as the platform draws near and everyone is preparing for a brawl, Perempuan conceals the picture in her pants, something Oscar notices. As the platform arrives, a number of mattresses fall out of it, revealing Dajan, Bobby and his band of loyalists, who launch an instant attack. A fierce battle breaks out, with both sides murdering opponents without mercy and splattering blood all over the place. As things become blurry, Trimagasi inadvertently stabs a woman he was crushing on. After being traumatized, he chooses to give up fighting and hide beneath the bed. Oscar begins to choke Perempuan as he sits on top of her in the interim. When Trimagasi realizes this, he gives her his knife, which she stabs Oscar with. He asks, "Why was the painting so important?" and then passes away. She then goes to hide with Trimagasi and sobs as the inmates carry on killing one another. In the end, only Trimagasi and Perempuan remain alive after even Dajan, Bobby falls. The bodies begin to drop into the hole as the platform collapses. When Perempuan emerges and sees that Dajan, Bobby is still alive, she chooses not to murder him in order to save him from suffering through to the very end. Subsequently, Perempuan disposes of all the residual corpses into the pit, dumping Dajan, who is now deceased, last. She tells Trimagasi she's leaving and asks him to come along, but he decides to stay, saying this was the best month of his life. Then Perempuan begins to devour her oil painting, and just before the gas fills the cage, she passes out with froth in her mouth. Until a boy reaches the top of the mystery room, a group of kids are struggling to climb up. He is suddenly illuminated by a light, and people from administration show up to take him away. Perempuan's plan appears to have been successful when she wakes up and finds herself chained to a pile of dead bodies being relocated by facility personnel. When the pile is forced through the pit, Perempuan is able to observe how the employees reorganize the sleeping inmates utilizing low gravity and clean the cells. When the workers leave the pile at the end of the pit, Perempuan has a devastating realization: this isn't the exit, this is level 333. Instantly, Perempuan squirms away from the rope and ducks beneath a bed to watch the guys bring in the selected child. After leaving the boy on a different bed, the bodies are shoved through a hole and into a hidden level underneath 333. Perempuan chooses to save this child in order to purge herself of her guilt after killing her fiance's child. She leaps to the other bed, but she hits her head by accident. Then she scoops up the child and attempts to get away, but she keeps hitting her head until she passes out because of the gravity issue. Once more, Perempuan emerges on the platform, this time with the child in the center and a group of cannibals poised to eat. She is invited to feed the infant with a knife that a man provides her, but she suddenly wakes up screaming. In level 333, it's just her and the boy, and the platform quickly descends to the very bottom. Cannibals soon round her, but they choose not to attack her because of the infant. They clarify that Perempuan must remain since her trip is now complete and only the kids can ascend once more. The cannibals assist Perempuan in leaving the platform as they observe it ascend once more, carrying the child to new captives. With the passage of time, an increasing number of convicts descend to the bottom of the platform while holding a child. It appears that the facility uses a group of children as a tool to control the inmates, either by pretending that they are a sign of hope or by preventing any inmates from attempting to break out. This includes the final scene of the original film, in which Goring arrives with a female while experiencing a Trimagasi delusion. Goring steps off the platform to allow the girl to climb back up. Perempuan discovers Goring at that same moment and gives him an embrace, confessing he is her fiancé. To ensure you never miss any updates on new videos, kindly click the bell icon, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.